What was the last time you felt good after a conversation with a stakeholder? Is there a particular stakeholder that makes you feel stressed or pressured? How do you deal with those kind of people? Today I'm bringing you 6 different tips to improve your stakeholder management. Before giving you tips of how to improve your relationships with stakeholders, I think it would be interesting to understand what does a good versus a bad relationship with a stakeholder look like. Maybe let's start with the bad one. Whenever you have a bad relationship with stakeholders, you're probably going to feel a lot of pressure. You're going to feel a little bit of resentment. You're going to hear things as, why wasn't this finished?
What do you mean it's not ready yet?
You could also probably hear questions in the shape of, but is it gonna get done this time? A little bit of passive aggressiveness, you know? Now that we know how a bad relationship looks like, how does a good one look like? When you have a good relationship with your stakeholders, your conversations are not about whether a feature is delayed or not, or whether something will be done or not. You're talking about problems together. You're exploring business opportunities.
And you'll do it together.
They're gonna talk to you about something they've been discussing with partners. They'll bring up something that investors have considered. They'll tell you about the biggest problem that the company is facing and doesn't know how to address.
We have a problem. I've seen the problem.
They'll ask you about your input and whether you had experience with something in particular before.
Do you have any experience?
This is what a good relationship with stakeholders looks like. It's one where you're not being mad at something, but instead you're thinking together to solve a problem. You cannot control what goes outside of yourself. You cannot control if someone else had a bad day. You cannot control if the business is not doing well. You cannot control if the market is going downhill. You cannot control any of that. However, you can control how you show up to those meetings, how you decide to deal with a stakeholder, how you decide to communicate.
I'm ready to communicate with you now.
And how do you do that? One thing you need to understand when you're working with stakeholders is that managing stakeholders is not about keeping your reputation clean. Your reputation being clean is a result of a good collaboration together. Managing stakeholders is not about them being right or you being right. Managing stakeholders is not about whether you're building a feature the way that they wanted it or that you wanted it.
This is what I want to do.
If you're here, your stakeholder is here, and the conversation is not flowing, it is highly possible that there is no bridge to create that communication.
There is no bridge.
And learning a little bit about negotiation can help you build the skills for that. Negotiating is not about, hey, if I know how to negotiate, I'll do better than you are doing.
There are things being negotiated now that are going to solve all your problems and answer all your questions.
The more people know how to negotiate, the better it is for everyone. The faster you can reach an agreement.
Kind of a win-win situation.
Most people are not thinking about a meeting or a conversation as a way to reach a common goal. They are thinking about, this is what I want, this is what they want, I want what I want, and they want what they want. Let's see who wins. The win is not on whether it's one or the other person who gets something that the other person didn't get.
Have competition in excellence, not competition in insanity.
You need to forget a little bit about your ego in those moments. It's about what's best for both of you. It's about finding a common interest. It's about finding this common point where both of you can find a balance. I don't know if you've ever driven. When I was helping my friends catch up with driving because they hadn't done it for a very long time, I was always explaining there's a very important thing that you need to learn before you go and drive anywhere. And this is about the point of balance. This sweet spot in a car where a car decides whether it's moving forward or not.
Pull the clutch, upshift to first.
At the same time that you're pressing the gas, you're letting go a little bit of the clutch. You'll probably notice that there is a point in between letting go of the clutch and pressing the gas where the car doesn't move. You don't have the brakes pressed and you don't have your handbrake either. And this point of balance is something that helps you going forward in a hill or not moving in a moment where you're about to take off when the car in front of you suddenly brakes. This is something that you need to control when you learn to drive.
Fozzie, where did you learn to drive?
I took a correspondence course.
And the same thing happens with the relationship with your stakeholders. You need to control how the relationship is working for both of you to be able to communicate so that when things get tough, you're still able to make that car move forward.
Drive, drive, drive!
How do you create this sweet spot where you're still not moving, but you could move whenever you start pressing the gas?
I want to know.
There's 6 different areas that you can work on. One of the first things you can do is talking their language. Imagine you are in a situation where you go to a remote town in the middle of Italy and you're talking with people in English. Do you think you would understand each other?
Non parlo italiano.
Most probably not. But even if you don't speak the same language, you can find things that they understand because they are used to using it. For example, let's say you want to ask them about where you can buy some foods. You're going to start using mimicking to explain what it is to eat food.
Something to eat, senorita?
You're going to show them money to explain that you're trying to buy something. You're going to communicate with something that they can understand. You're not going to try to push a foreign language to explain something to them, are you?
You speak good English.
Same thing happens with stakeholders. Stakeholders might not understand your product language. You need to talk about the KPIs that they care about. You need to talk about the business problems that are important for them. You need to talk about what it is that moves the needle for them.
Now you're speaking my language.
The moment you start saying words that they understand, it's going to be like... a lot of checkboxes are going to start checking. You need to use this to be able to perform a proper communication. There is a very important part to talking their language. If there is a stakeholder that is responsible for bringing new partners to the business, don't talk to them about operation problems. If you're talking to an operations stakeholder, don't talk to them about marketing problems.
I can't see this on a marketing report.
What's a marketing report?
Talk to them about the problems that belong to them, because otherwise they won't be listening to you. They'll just be waiting for you to finish your sentence to be able to get their point across.
You finished? Yes, I finished.
Because the fact that you're not using the wording, to them, it doesn't mean that you're not being sophisticated enough or that you're not putting yourself in their shoes. It means that you are lost and you don't know what you're doing.
Are you lost?
That's how a stakeholder reads it. That's why you have individual meetings with specific stakeholders. You don't put all the stakeholders at the same time, the same table. It's like in your personal life. Imagine you're a very social being. You have friends from work, you have your friends from a dance class, you have your friends from sports.
You're a very lucky man to have so many friends.
What would happen if you organize a party and put them all together? They would all be like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? They wouldn't know how to communicate with each other.
Well, this is awkward.
Same thing happens if you put a bunch of stakeholders together. You're trying to talk with multiple different terminologies at the same time. None of them would be able to catch up. Everyone would be trying to push their topic through. That's why you have separate meetings for different stakeholders. And now that you know that you have different meetings for this particular reason, you need to be able to talk their particular language.
So what do? You don't actually have to speak.
Next one, protect yourself. Why do I need to protect myself? It's a stakeholder, right? You never know the stakeholder that you're gonna get. You never know how much people hold themselves accountable.
Are you serious?
So you need to protect yourself. You need to leave a trace of the work that you did to try to get them to do their work. So for example, if you're working on a feature and you depend on a stakeholder to provide some input, some information, use public channels, messages, whatever reminders, follow-up messages after a meeting to request something that you've talked about.
Stay visible.
Why? Because if something doesn't happen and something doesn't work out, stakeholders are gonna go around the company saying how you as a product manager didn't do this.
I did it.
And what they don't say is that they didn't provide the information for you to be able to finish a particular feature.
How dare you?
Ideally, you won't be in an organization where you need to use this. However, shit happens.
Shit happens, Holly. You clean it up.
When people decide to do something, even if they are late, you need to give them the grace to be able to want to do it again. Not make them feel punished by the fact that they didn't do it the first time.
Okay, John, you got it.
Why are those receipts important for you as a product manager? Well, in some cases, you'll have stakeholders who need to collaborate with you and work on something with you, but don't have the time to do so.
Why?
People shouldn't work on their free time to make something happen. However, whoever they are reporting to should know that they need the time to be able to deliver to whatever it is that you're requesting. If they cannot deliver it because they don't have time, using those receipts can be a way for you to talk to their supervisor or to talk to C-level to say, hey, I need support from this department and I cannot get it. I think this person is overwhelmed and that's why they are not able to deliver to me.
I know this company.
So either you give me another solution or you make the time available.
Oh, God.
What do we do now, huh?
Be real. This is not about talking like you're Jenny from the block. What I'm referring to is show what it is that you can do and what you cannot do.
All right.
I've noticed there are some people who are so afraid to say they don't know something. They won't express the fact that they don't know whether something is possible or not. They will just start talking gibberish so that they are not caught off guard, so that people don't realize that they don't know what it is that the stakeholder is talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just gibberish. Gibberish of an insane person.
If you don't know what a stakeholder is talking about, that's the most normal thing in the universe. You're not married to them. You haven't been living with them. You don't know what it is that they might be thinking about.
You don't know them and you expect them to get a divorce?
Whatever it is that they are talking about is most probably dependent on what their context is like, on what they discussed in a previous meeting, on an idea that they've been thinking on their way to work.
That's unfortunate.
So make sure you check in with them whether what you understood is correct. Is this topic that you're referring to something particular from the roadmap? Could you please provide some context? Because right now I cannot follow up with whatever it is that you are talking about.
I don't get it.
And you just refer to the roadmap every time. And you let them explain. Maybe they got ahead of themselves. Maybe they just had an idea. Maybe some team member brought something with urgency and they think they need to talk about it.
Could be. Who knows?
And then ask them follow-up questions to continue with the conversation. Ask them about how often does a problem happen? Why does it happen? When did they notice it?
You got 48 hours for investigation.
Don't take every single thing they say at face value. You need to have a sense of how much truth there is in what they're saying.
I'll discover the truth from Mr. Bingley at the ball this evening.
Some people are going to say, we've had these problems for years. This has been going on forever. You think that has been happening for that long and it's the first time you're hearing about it? No, right? Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm remembering one specific case. Just have a conversation. Try to re-understand what it is that they want to do. You go point by point, explaining whether what you understood is correct.
Repeat after me. After me.
You summarize what it is that they just said. And then you want to double check on the intention. What did they want when they brought up this topic? When you want to be real with your friends, you don't just listen to them and say, yeah, whatever. You know, you don't give them a pat on the shoulder. You ask them, so how do you want me to support you? How do you want me to help you? That's the typical question you will ask your friends, right? That is the same thing you're going to do with your stakeholders. You're going to double check what was the intention that they were trying to communicate.
What's the intention in that?
Do they need your support scoping the feature? Were they just throwing in some ideas that they thought were cool? Did they just want to know whether you had more context that they did in a particular issue?
I'm thinking just that.
Your voice carries. Whatever you talk with stakeholders is most probably going to be shared around the company. So you need to be aware of what it is that you're saying. When you have a little bit more knowledge of what can be done or cannot be done technically, and you share it with some stakeholder, they are gonna share it with everyone around.
Please be careful.
If you promise something, people are gonna share that you promised that. If you explain something, you're gonna hear how people explain something the way that they understood it from you.
I said it was Christmas in a cup.
That's something that happens when people respect your opinion. So you need to watch how it is that you're explaining things, how it is that you're clarifying things. If you speak in a way that people can understand, they'll feel more comfortable explaining what it is that you share to others. So your ideas are going to start spreading around the company. People are going to start referring to what it is that you said or what it is that you did. So being conscious of that, start sharing things with them that they can understand.
Is that clear to you, Inspector?
Some companies make the mistake of using these goals, objectives, or these strategies that no one can understand. And when you personally, as a PM, can make things very simple to understand, people start using your explanation to explain it to everyone. People feel empowered whenever they have information. Then you're gonna start hearing your metaphors and your ways of saying things all around the company.
Not every sardine is meant to swim, son.
I don't understand fishing metaphor.
Same as your voice carries for positive things, it will also carry for negative stuff. By the way, I have a bit of a cold, so I hope the voice is not too horrible. If you say something is not possible, even though it is, people will know.
Not possible.
So be conscious of this before just saying something for the sake of saying something. Don't make up stuff just because you want to have an answer for everything.
When will you learn to shut up?
It's perfectly fine to say you don't have an answer for something. You're not working on sales. You're a product manager. You can easily say, I don't have enough information to say something about this in this moment. And that's perfectly normal. We are not machines.
You are a Terminator, right?
Yes.
Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
We process things, we learn things, you change context. When you only know about one thing alone, it's very easy to always say the same thing. But when you educate yourself in so many different things, you need to choose first the context that you want to give your response in. And then you decide how to elaborate that point.
Very well put, dear. We're all overwrought now.
This is something that becomes extremely difficult as a product manager because, for example, if you're talking with technical people, the way you deliver information is in one way. If you're talking with business people, the way that you deliver is different.
Still need a dictionary?
And why was I saying this? Oh yeah, your voice carries. Communicate in a way that people will understand.
In simple terms, it just means just 12 o'clock.
Saying things that don't make any sense might make people impressed if they are from the business side, but your engineering team is gonna quickly catch up with you.
What an asshole.
They are gonna know very fast if what you're saying is a little bit of BS or what you're saying has some meaning.
Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?
If you have someone smart, any other team around you, they'll also notice. People have very good BS radars, so don't trigger anyone's radar, just be real. Why would you want to communicate something that doesn't make any sense, that makes people more confused than they were before? People don't feel good if they left a meeting feeling confused. Imagine you need to go on a road trip, so you want to use your car. There is an indicator in your dashboard that keeps popping up, and you take your car to the workshop. And you ask the guy, is this going to be fixed in these 2 days? And they start telling you something like, I need to run it through the software. And you're still there thinking, is it going to be fixed or not? Can you just tell me something so I can make a decision?
No answer.
You don't care about what it is that they need to do. What you want to know is whether something will be ready or not. There's nothing in between. There's no gray colors here. You just want your question answered.
Will it be ready in time?
And when someone starts replying with a little bit of gibberish or with something that will make a bill seem more expensive afterwards,
or more if we have to overnight parts from Japan,
you just get frustrated. You start feeling the tension. You start feeling like you're bubbling up.
Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.
Because you're like, why is this person not replying to me? This is the same thing that happens to stakeholders. You'd be surprised how often this happens.
Do you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
I don't think so, but I could check with the kitchen.
Just be real. This is about communicating openly in a way that people can understand you. Next one, be reliable. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. And you know what this means. When you're committing to something, you need to finish it.
I will finish out the term, of course.
You need to get it done. But what happens if in the middle of starting to do it, you realize that it doesn't make any sense business-wise? Let's say you found a number that allowed you to discover that this is no longer going to help you solve that problem.
See past the number. Trust yourself.
Then you need to communicate it. You need to go to a stakeholder and say, hey, I know I committed to doing this. And when I started working on it, what I realized is that this is happening. Even though we both wanted to work on this, we are going to need to take it out of the roadmap.
Not anymore.
Or we are going to need to postpone it because it's not going to help us now. Even though sometimes it's going to be a super cool idea that they were super excited about. You need to be reliable with your word. If you already said you were going to do it, you need to let them know that that's no longer happening. You shouldn't allow them to guess that from a conversation with someone else. If you're going to share that information in a presentation in front of the whole company, please don't allow them to find in that presentation.
I don't believe it.
You write them a short message and you explain how this is going to be mentioned in whatever presentation so that they are not surprised.
I just don't like surprises.
This also is applicable with your team. If you're responsible for other PMs, you also don't want people to find out about something happening in a presentation or in a public meeting. You want them to feel informed. Even if you cannot give them the full explanation, you give them a hint. You give them an indication. You don't want them to find out about it through someone else. Because in that moment, the trust is broken. Imagine you didn't know that was going to be shared in that presentation. Immediately after, or even during that presentation, you write them a short message and you explain. I know many people are not going to be fans of this. This is something I personally do. If there was a misinterpretation and I actually care about that stakeholder knowing, I'm going to let them know. I care about them being aware that my intention was for them to know.
Believe me, it was never my intention for things to turn so dark.
If they are not so valuable to you and you just have a very superficial relationship, maybe you don't care. But ideally, you do care. You care about everyone being able to do a good job, to have the right information, and to not be surprised, so that the trust is still there.
What are you getting at? Only that you can trust me.
And just like you share when something is not going to get done, when something will get done, you finish it. And you do it the way you said you were going to do it. And if something is not going to be exactly the same as you said it was going to be, you explain it, you share it, you write a disclaimer.
It will be different.
As a PM, don't allow people to be surprised. You're a pillar of stability that doesn't move, where people know that whatever it is that you're saying is gonna get done. Whatever you say is not gonna get done, won't get done. You don't know how powerful this is. People are gonna start informing you about everything because they know. They always make sure that everyone knows, so they need to know the first one. If something is gonna change in the scope of stakeholders, they are gonna want you to know because they know you make people aware of everything. So they want you to be informed. They want you to have the source of truth.
The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion.
They know putting information in your hands brings better results. Please don't be manipulative with this kind of things. Don't make up fake facts. Don't make up fake things. Just be real. Be reliable whilst being real. You cannot create fake reliability. I don't like to teach tricks to getting short-term rewards. This channel is not for that. Good long-term results don't rely on short-term rewards. They rely on thinking about the long term. Last one, learn to say no.
My answer is no.
No. Like when I started doing product, I think I was saying no. I did want to do a little bit of people pleasing. But at the same time, whenever something was really not in line with what I thought the product could be, I didn't have an issue to say no. I was not very emotionally intelligent. But I would say, no, this is not in line with what we need to do because of this, this, and this, and this. But it was because I had a very strict vision in mind. And this made me realize that one of the best ways to say no is to stay objective. And in order to stay objective, you need to be strategic. You need to be thinking about the long term. You need to think about the vision. Whenever you say no, it's not about saying no to appear cool.
You are not cool.
You need to look at the relationship from the outside. When you're talking with stakeholders, you need to think you, stakeholder, and the business and business needs. When both of you look at it from the outside, it's easier to think about it objectively. You don't have a conversation, no, but my roadmap has this. You instead have a conversation where you think, is this helping the company objectives? Is it helping more or less than the items that are already in the roadmap? If it's helping more, then maybe you should prioritize it, even if it wasn't initially in the plan. But if it's not, you need to tell them.
This makes no sense.
Looking at the numbers of what the roadmap was about to provide, or looking at the KPIs that the roadmap was about to move, I cannot see this particular item being more important to achieve the business goals that we have. Perhaps there is something I'm missing. If that's the case, would you mind taking me through your thought process so I can be more aligned with what you're trying to say?
Walk me through what happened.
Do you realize how different the conversation sounds? It's not about my roadmap or about your topic. It's about how can we both find a convergence between your topic and my topic? How can we create a common point of interest where both of us are reaching our goal? And our goal should be the same, which is for the business to thrive.
Capiche?
Now, there's going to be some occasions where a stakeholder is going to need you to do something that is not really helping the business goals. And because you want them to succeed, you want to nurture the relationship, and because you want them to do well within the company, you're going to help them. But when you do this, when you are working on something that is helping a specific stakeholder, but it's not helping your particular objectives or the objectives of your whole team, you need to communicate this across the company. Even though it's not helping me achieving my goals, it's something I need to help them do because I want them to be successful. Because if they are not successful, they are not going to be able to deliver this.
And the longer it sits underwater, it will just get stuck.
And you explain this to your supervisor. But you don't just take in things because you want to be friendly or you want to be cool. You know when you will be cool? When things get done, when things get finished, when the company is more successful. It's not going to happen the moment you want to be a people pleaser and you tell them yes to everything. They need to hear the no sometimes. People don't get angry because of you saying no. They get angry because you decided you're not going to do something, but you're not telling them up front.
You two-faced, cold-blooded.
You're being wishy-washy. You're ignoring their requests like you're doing a slalom, like zigzagging around their requests. You're not telling them something. Just tell them. Remember about the example with the workshop, with taking the car to a workshop. The only thing you want to know is, are you going to do this or not? That's the only thing you want to know. You don't want to know anything else. You'll realize how much your relationships grow from being able to say no. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like it. If you want to watch more stuff like this, just subscribe. When you're starting out a YouTube channel like this one, it takes every single long watch, every single like, every single comment, every single private message. It all makes a difference. So thank you. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think all of the sudden things start picking up naturally. I felt that I've been getting support that hasn't been communicated to me. So if you've been supporting me, I really appreciate it. I don't want to be cheesy because I can be a little bit cheesy, but all of your support counts. So I just wanted to say thank you.